You know that feeling when you finally have $1,000 sitting in your bank account and you're wondering what the heck you're supposed to do with it? Like, should you invest it into the stock market immediately to catch the next big wave? Should you save it in a traditional bank account where it feels safe but earns almost no interest? Should you just throw it at whatever sounds exciting on social media today? Well, if you are feeling overwhelmed by these choices, you're definitely not alone. Most people get to this point and they completely freeze because they think investing is a mysterious art form. They believe it only happens in glass boardrooms with guys in expensive suits making complicated trades on glowing monitors. But here's the reality that the big banks and fancy brokers rarely tell you in their advertisements. Investing your first $1,000 is one of the most important financial decisions you'll ever make in your entire life. It is not just about the money itself, but about the mental shift from being a consumer to becoming an owner. And honestly, the actual mechanics of doing it are way simpler than the experts want you to think. My name is Nick, and my mission is to help people understand money and investing without all the fancy Wall Street mumbo-jumbo. I want to strip away the jargon and give you the raw truth about building wealth from scratch. And let me tell you something that might genuinely surprise you about the math of wealth. The person who invests their first $1,000 correctly today often ends up wealthier than the person who waits and throws $10,000 at a trending stock later. This is because of the incredible power of time and the compound interest that works in your favor when you start early. It's not about how much you start with on day one. It's about understanding the fundamental laws of money that most people completely ignore until it's too late. But remember, as we go through this guide, I am not a professional financial advisor. This video and script are for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please do your own thorough research before you put a single dollar into any investment vehicle. Now, before we dive into the step-by-step process of managing your $1,000, let me make you 3 distinct promises. First, everything I'm going to show you can be done with simple language and zero financial jargon that makes your eyes glaze over. I promise to talk to you like a friend across a coffee table, not like a textbook or a bank manager. Second, we're not going to talk about day trading, speculative cryptocurrency, or any get-rich-quick schemes that sound too good to be true. We avoid those because, in the real world of finance, if something sounds too good to be true, it usually is a trap. And third, by the end of this guide, you'll have a realistic plan that anyone can follow with total confidence. It doesn't matter if you think the stock market is a mysterious casino or if you're just tired of watching your money sit stagnant. But here's what separates this specific strategy from every other investing tutorial you've probably watched online. I'm going to show you the one critical step that most beginners skip entirely. Skipping this step is the primary reason most new investors lose their shirt before they even get a chance to grow. Plus, I'll reveal the exact account type that can save you thousands in taxes over the next few decades of your life. We will also look at the simple 3-fund portfolio that has consistently beaten 90% of professional money managers over long periods. However, before you get too excited and start clicking buy on a trading app, we need to have a very honest conversation. This conversation might hurt your feelings a little bit, but it is necessary for your long-term survival. The hard truth is that your $1,000 might not actually be ready to invest yet. I know that sounds crazy, especially when you've spent all this time researching how to grow your wealth. But hear me out, because this piece of advice could save you from a financial mistake that takes years to recover from. Step 1 of any successful wealth plan is protecting that $1,000 before you even think about putting it at risk. This is the part where most people roll their eyes, get bored, and click away because they want the action. They want the 10x gains and the exciting stories of overnight success. But the truly wealthy people I know didn't get wealthy by skipping the boring stuff. They got wealthy by doing the boring, foundational stuff really, really well. Here is the reality check that nobody in the get-rich-quick community wants to give you. If you don't have at least 1 month of basic expenses saved up in a safe, liquid account, you are not ready to invest. Investing your only $1,000 without a safety net is like trying to build a massive, skyscraper on top of a swamp. It might look impressive for a few months, but as soon as the ground shifts, the whole thing will come crashing down. When life inevitably throws you a curveball, and it will, you'll be forced to sell your investments. And the worst part is that you'll likely have to sell them at the worst possible time just to pay for a sudden emergency. Let me paint you a vivid picture of what this disaster looks like in the real world. Imagine you invest your $1,000 into the stock market, and 3 months later, your car's transmission suddenly fails. The mechanic tells you the repair costs $800, and you need your car to get to work every day. If you don't have emergency savings tucked away, you'll have to log into your brokerage account and sell your shares. And here's the cruel irony of the universe. The stock market will probably be in a temporary dip or a red day exactly when you need that money most. That is simply how the laws of probability and Murphy's Law tend to work in personal finance. So you'll sell your shares at a loss, pay the repair bill, and then swear off investing forever because you think the system is rigged. An emergency fund doesn't need to be a massive, daunting sum when you're just starting out. If your basic monthly expenses are $2,000, then having just that first $2,000 in a high-yield savings account gives you a vital buffer. If your expenses are lower, then you obviously need less to reach that first milestone of safety. The point isn't to have 6 full months of expenses saved before you ever buy a stock. The point is to have something there so you're not forced to be a paper-handed seller during the first minor financial hiccup. Now let's talk about the giant elephant in the room that makes a lot of people feel really uncomfortable. We are talking about high-interest debt, specifically the kind found on credit cards. If you're carrying a balance on credit cards that charge you 15%, 20%, or even 25% interest, you have a massive problem. Investing your $1,000 while carrying that debt is like trying to fill a bucket that has a giant, gaping hole in the bottom. Think about the math here, because the math never lies, even when our emotions do. The stock market has historically returned about 10% per year on average over the last century. But your credit card company is charging you 20% interest every single month, regardless of what the market does. So you're essentially borrowing money at 20% to hopefully earn 10%. That is a losing proposition that would make any reasonable mathematician or business owner question your sanity. I know this isn't the exciting Wall Street advice you were hoping to hear today. You want to start building a portfolio and watching tickers go up, not pay off a boring plastic card. But here's the secret about truly wealthy people. They understand that paying off high-interest debt is actually the single best investment you can possibly make. It is a guaranteed return on your money that is exactly equal to whatever interest rate you are being charged. If you pay off a 20% credit card, you have effectively earned a 20% return with zero risk involved. There is nowhere else in the world where you can get a guaranteed 20% return without any chance of losing your principal. However, and this is a very important distinction, I'm not saying you need to be completely debt-free to invest. If you have low-interest debt, like a mortgage at 4% or an old student loan at 5%, you can still invest. In those cases, your potential investment returns are likely higher than the interest you're paying. The general rule of thumb for beginners is actually quite simple to remember. If your debt has an interest rate above 10% or 12%, you should probably kill that debt before you buy stocks. If the interest rate is below that threshold, you can likely invest while making your regular monthly payments. Assuming you've got your emergency funds sorted and you're not drowning in predatory debt, let's move to step 2. Step 2 is choosing the right container or account type for your investment. This is where most beginners make a massive mistake. That costs them a fortune in lost taxes over time. They make this mistake simply because nobody ever took 10 minutes to explain the difference between account types. When most people think about investing, they just imagine opening a generic account and clicking buy. But the type of account you choose is almost as important as the actual stocks you end up buying. The account type determines how much of your hard-earned profit you get to keep for yourself. It also determines how much of that profit you are legally required to hand over to the government in taxes. There are generally two main options for your first $1,000. Understanding the difference between these two could literally save you six figures over the next 30 years. The first option is the Roth IRA, which is a specialized retirement account with incredible tax benefits. For most beginners looking at a long-term horizon, the Roth IRA is probably the single best choice available. The second option is a regular taxable brokerage account, which is much more flexible but less tax efficient. Let me explain why the Roth IRA is such a legendary wealth-building tool for regular people like us. With a Roth IRA, you put in money that has already been taxed at the source, meaning your paycheck. So if you earn $1,000 at your job, the government takes their cut for income tax, and you invest the rest. But here is where the magic happens that makes the Roth IRA so special. Every single dollar of growth and every cent of dividends in that account is completely tax-free forever. Let me say that one more time because it is the most important sentence in this entire script. The growth is tax-free, not just tax-deferred, meaning you will never owe the IRS a penny on those gains. If you invest that $1,000 today and it grows to $50,000 over the next few decades, you get to keep all $50,000. The government gets absolutely nothing from that growth when you withdraw it in retirement. There are a few rules, of course, because the government doesn't like giving away free lunches. You can only contribute a certain amount each year, which for 2026 is $7,500 if you're under the age of 50. There are also income limits, but if you're starting with $1,000, you're likely well within those boundaries. The main catch of the Roth IRA is that the money is meant for your future self, not your current self. Generally, you are expected to leave the growth in the account until you reach the age of 59 and a half. You can always withdraw your original contributions if you really need to, but the gains are locked away for the long term. This brings us to the taxable brokerage account, which is your second major option. In a taxable account, there are no contributions if you really need to, but the gains are locked away for the long term. This brings us to the taxable brokerage account, which is your second major option. In a taxable account, there are no contribution limits, no income limits, and no age restrictions on when you can take your money. You can invest as much as you want today and pull it all out tomorrow morning if you feel like it. But the trade-off for this ultimate flexibility is that you will owe taxes on your success. When your investments make a profit, the government will want a percentage of those gains through capital gains tax. If you hold your investments for more than a year, you'll pay long-term rates, which are better than regular income tax. However, better is still not as good as the 0% you would pay inside a Roth IRA. So, which one should you choose for your first $1,000 right now? If you are investing for a long-term goal like retirement or buying a house in 10 years, the Roth IRA is the winner. The compounding effect of tax-free growth over 30 years is simply too powerful for a beginner to ignore. But if you are saving for a shorter goal, like a wedding in 3 years, the taxable account is the better tool. Once you have picked your account, step 3 is the part where people usually get the most nervous. This is where we talk about what you are actually going to buy with that $1,000. I promise you that the answer is going to be way more effective than the risky stuff you see on TikTok. But before we get to the good list, let me give you a do not touch list for your first $1,000. Do not take your hard-earned money and buy a single stock based on a hot tip from a friend or relative. Do not buy the most trending meme stock because a group of strangers on the internet are screaming about it. And please, for the sake of your financial future, do not try to day trade your way to a quick fortune. Day trading with your first $1,000 is essentially gambling, with a different name. It's like taking your rent money to a casino and putting it all on a single spin of the roulette wheel. Sure, there is a tiny chance you might double your money in an hour, but the math is heavily against you. Statistically, you are much more likely to lose half your money and end up feeling discouraged and defeated. Successful long-term investors understand a truth that the get-rich-quick crowd refuses to accept. Boring usually wins in the end. Consistency is the secret sauce that builds real generational wealth. Buying tiny pieces of thousands of successful companies is safer and more profitable than trying to pick one winner. So what does this actually look like in practice for your $1,000? I recommend a strategy called the 3-fund portfolio, which is the gold standard for simple investing. The first 60 to 70% of your money should go into a total stock market index fund. This one single purchase makes you a partial owner of nearly every public company in the United States. You'll own a piece of Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and even the companies that make your favorite snacks and clothes. The beauty of this is that you don't have to be a genius to figure out which individual company will win. You are betting on the collective ingenuity and growth of the entire American economy. When the economy grows over the long term, your $700 investment grows right along with it. The next 20 to 30% of your $1,000 should go into an international index fund. This gives you exposure to the rest of the world, including developed markets in Europe and growing markets in Asia. This is about diversification, which is the only free lunch in the world of investing. Sometimes the US market is flat while international markets are booming, and vice versa. By owning both, you ensure that your portfolio isn't entirely dependent on the political or economic climate of one nation. The final 10% is optional and can be put into a bond fund if you want a bit more stability. However, if you are young and have a long time to wait, you might just want to keep that 10% in stocks for more growth. Specific examples of these funds include Vanguard's VTSAX or Fidelity's FXAIX for the US market. For international exposure, look for funds like VTIX or FTIHX. These funds have incredibly low fees, often charging you less than $1 for every $1,000 you invest. Compare that to professional managers who might charge you $20 or $30 for the same service. Those small fees add up to massive differences in your final balance after 30 or 40 years of compounding. The final step, step 4, is setting up the systems to make this automatic. Wealth is built through habits, not through one-time events. The most successful investors aren't the ones who time the bottom of the market perfectly. They are the ones who set up an automatic transfer from their bank account every single month. If you can add just $100 or $200 a month to your initial $1,000, you are building a wealth machine. This process is called dollar cost averaging. It is the ultimate stress reducer for investors. When the market is down and everyone is panicking, your automatic system buys more shares at a discount. When the market is at an all-time high, your system buys fewer shares, protecting you from overextending. You don't have to think, you don't have to check the news, and you don't have to worry about the right time. The right time to invest is always as soon as you have the money. Your first $1,000 is not just a pile of cash, it is your seed. If you plant it in good soil, protect it from the elements, and water it consistently, it will grow into a forest. Thank you for taking the time to invest in your own education today.